Hello, my name is Tom, and today I am going to show you how to create a contact in Xero accounting software. Contacts are used to keep history of all the information about that client within your Xero file, such as details of invoices, statements that have been sent, costs of products, and general history of how the client pays, along with traditionally what and when over the year they generally engage your services. So what I will show you first is how to get there. So from the blue tab menu we go to Contacts, All Contacts. On the right hand side up the top we have a green button that says New Contact, and we press that, and it brings up all the generic information that we were going to need to put in to get that contact ready in the Xero file. So obviously the first thing we will put in is the name of the business or the customer. In our case we are going to create ABC Furniture Pty Ltd. If you have a specific account number that you like to reference that customer to, you can put that in. Then you need to put in the primary contact, so their first name, surname, and the best email address. Xero works heavily via emailing, so making sure you have an accurate email is one of the most important things with a contact. So first name, surname, and the email. The other handy thing to have in here is their phone numbers. If the client has a website, you can also include that. Their ABN. An ACN, if it is a company, they generally will have an ACN number. And you can also put some notes in there. Up the top left hand side we also have further details that you can include, such as their address, which is important to include so that it will show up on things like their invoices and statement of accounts. So if we go across, the billing address. So once we've defaulted with a main address, it can also be the delivery address as well. If it's a different delivery address, we can edit that, and we can search here as well. The search comes from the white pages, so that the information does actually come through accurately. And you'll note that the city, the state is all done in capitals to comply with how Australia Post like to have their documents listed on the front of an envelope if it was sent in the mail, and we can click update. There are further details you can include, such as the client's bank account details, a reference to things such as what sort of products they will buy. You might agree with the client on certain payment terms, which might be 30 days after end of the invoice month. You'll have amounts that when you do an invoice you might want those to be inclusive or exclusive. In some rare scenarios there might also be no tax, such as GST, on those invoices. You might also apply a generic discount to a large customer, and this would automatically default into any invoice that you created for them. You can put a credit limit as well, so that if it hits that credit limit, Xero will send you a notification of when they're above that credit limit or about to go above that credit limit. can set default branding for your invoices if you run multiple sorts of invoices, but for the most part people will have one, and that'll be a standard. Then there's also purchase details. So if this contact is a supplier, you might have standard terms with them where you might pay them 30 days after the end of the bill month. Very similar to what happens with the invoicing amounts, but in this scenario it's if it's a supplier. Okay, for the most part people don't tend to use a lot of this data because each transaction can vary from time to time, but if it is a very standard type arrangement you have with either the customer or a supplier when you're setting them up, then you can use these things to automate that process for you. But for our purpose, we've added the contact details, we've added the billing details and shown you how to change those if required, and then we've shown you the further details that you can add in, which are an optional extra, not required, and are really only of value if it's a standard type arrangement with every transaction you do. Once you're happy with the setup of the client, hit save and close. And what this now does is brings in a standard set of information for the client. Contact details for email and the primary contact, generic phone numbers, websites, and little notes that you need to know about them, such as Robert likes to be called Bob for short, details there. And what we have down the bottom here is a history, and this will record all things that happen for you. So if you create an invoice, it'll show the invoice in there. It will show you when you've sent the client a statement. It will show you when the client has paid the invoice. It can also show you things like how much is outstanding or how much you owe to a supplier, and it creates a detailed history of all transactions that go on with that contact. Just going to go back to the contacts and give you a bit of a view of some of those things. So if we come back here and we scroll down, we'll click on to Bayside Club. As I was saying, as you start creating things, you'll see that we have invoices owed to us, we have bills we actually owe them, and then below we have a history of everything that's going on. So you can see there we've got the two invoices, plus we've got that bill. If we click the history, it'll show you when the bills were created, when they've been edited, and so forth. So you get a nice detailed history of the client's transactions. That pretty much is how you set up a contact in Xero. If you have any questions or would like detailed training within Xero, or simply want a better business accountant, contact Jeffkins Accountancy and Business Solutions. Thank you.